Hi and welcome to A World of Words. I'm Vanessa and today I'm going to be talking about Windwitch by Susan Dennard. So I actually was lucky enough to receive an ARC of this book when I was at YALLFest in November. So I'm actually reviewing this book. It is the end of November right now, but I don't think I'm going to release this video until the book is actually out. That way the review will be relevant at that time. So this is the second book in the Witchlander series by Susan Dennard. The first book is Truthwitch, which you probably heard about, especially if you've been watching this channel, because I go on about that book all the time and you're probably tired of me hearing about it. But then there's a new book for me to go on about, and so you can get tired of hearing me talk about this one too. So this book is basically about, in this world there are all sorts of different kinds. There are a bunch of different kinds of witches. They each have like one specific ability. One of our main characters here, Safi, she's a truth witch, so she can tell if you're lying to her. And her friend Iseult is a thread witch, so she can basically see threads, which are different emotions, so she can kind of tell what people are feeling, like actually feeling, not just their expressions. And there is a wind witch character named Merrick, so he can like control wind and stuff like that. There are tide witches that control water. There's like a witch for everything. Everything you can think of, there's probably a witch for it. It's multiple perspective and everybody has their own agenda, and so it's just kind of like an adventure of these different characters trying to do different things, and it's a really good series. So I'm just going to get into this book specifically. So if you haven't read Truthwitch, I definitely recommend you pick it up because it is a really good book. And so now I'm going to start talking about this book. If you haven't read this book, you're good. You can stick around for right now. I'll let you know before the spoilers start. So basically, this book, I don't think it was quite as good as Truthwitch. I did enjoy it. The main thing that bothered me was that Safi and Iseult, you know how they got separated at the end of the first book? Well, they kind of stay separated the whole time in this book, and I like them a lot together. I know they're separated a lot in the other book, but I thought they would have a little bit of time together in this book, and they don't. Also, she doesn't introduce Vivia, because Vivia was in the last book, but Vivia has her own perspective in this book, and I feel like it's in it quite a lot. So while this book was very well written, and I love the characters, there was a lot of running around and stuff, and introducing even more new characters, and so as far as like forwarding the plot that was in Truthwitch, I felt like not that much happened to forward that plot. They're still trying to accomplish the same things that they were trying to accomplish at the end of the first book, essentially, and there are new obstacles in the way. Stuff does happen in this book. I'm not saying like nothing happens, and it is very well paced. It didn't really answer questions, and it didn't really wrap up anything. It mostly just was a step along the way. So it was good, it was very entertaining. There were some parts that I felt were a little slow, mostly just the one perspective, Vivia's perspective in here. She's Merrick's sister, if you forgot who Vivia was. Her perspective seemed to be in it quite a lot, and I didn't really enjoy her perspectives. And personally, I was reading this, it was while I was really sick, so I didn't have that much energy, and what energy I did have, I was trying to spend on my writing. So it actually took me a really long time to read this book. Not because it was bad, but because I kept putting it down. This book had a lot going on in it, and I don't think it's confusing if you're feeling well and everything. In the state that I was in, where I really wasn't feeling all that well, I kind of felt like watching TV rather than reading, and I probably would have enjoyed it a lot more if I read it a lot faster. I read the first book in a couple of days, and this one it took me over a week and a half, I think, to read it, so that might have affected my opinion on it, so just keep that in mind. Also, every time Vivia's perspective came around, again, I would put the book down pretty much every time I was reading. I was always like partway through her perspective when I would decide, oh, I'm just gonna put it down. Hopefully that made sense as my spoiler-free review. I'm just gonna jump into spoilers now because I think I've rambled long enough. So if you haven't read this book, you should go read it and then come back and we can discuss all the things. So as I said, it took me a really long time to read this book, and I don't think it was the book's fault. I think it was my fault because I wasn't feeling good. Every time Vivian would come on, I'd be like, I don't feel like it. So So I would put the book down. And she has a lot of perspective. So if you put it down pretty much every time she has a perspective, that's probably why it took me forever. I mean forever, I mean like a week and a half to read this. Which a week and a half for me, that feels like a really long time. I'm going to put the book down now. First, I think I may as well just talk about Vivia, because I already kind of ranted about her a little bit. Her character wasn't awful. I really hated her in the first book because she seemed really awful. But in this book, she wasn't quite as bad. She actually kind of grew on me and became kind of sympathetic. But I still didn't enjoy her perspectives, because her perspectives, frankly, I found a little bit boring. That was pretty much my main complaint with this book, was she was my main complaint. I really didn't have that many problems otherwise. I had a couple problems with it otherwise, but my main complaint is that her perspectives were pretty much her and politics. And I don't like reading about politics in books. Even if it's fantasy books, a little bit is okay. A little bit of political drama, backstabbing, royal court drama, stuff like that. Some of it's okay. It just depends on the extent of it. And I felt like Vivia kind of repeated herself a lot in her perspective. It was pretty much the same thing over and over again. Or at least I felt that way, because I was very against her perspective. I didn't want to read it. And I pushed through. I didn't skip any of it. I read all the way through. But I kept putting it down every time I got to her perspective, as I said. So then we have Merrick, where I feel like it was a lot of Merrick. I feel like it might have been more of him than of Safi or Iseult, or Iseult. I'm gonna look up how to pronounce her name.
Iseult.
Can't be right.
Pronouncenames.com. Iseult.
Okay, so if you're Irish, it's eyes out, and if you're French, it's Iseult. For me, it looks more like Iseult, so I'm gonna say Iseult. I could call her Iseult, but whatever. I feel like there was a lot of Merrick's perspective, and I felt really bad for him because his face is all burned, and so he felt all deformed and ugly, and people in the streets would scream when they saw him and get all scared. And so then he convinced himself that he's the Fury. It was just really sad. I liked Cam a lot. I found her pretty entertaining. I hope nothing romantic happens between him and Cam, since I still ship him and Safi all the way. But Cam was okay as like a friend. But yeah, I felt really bad for him that he was like, oh, I'm hideous now, so I'm just gonna be the Fury and do stuff. What did he actually do? He did a lot of running around. And then Safi had her whole adventure with Vanessa. And I'm so glad Vanessa does not have an A at the end of her name, because then her name would be my name, and she is not allowed to have my name, so she's awful and I don't like her. So I'm so glad it's Vanessa, and it's not Vanessa. No. She can't have my name. Safi's storyline wasn't the best, I don't think. Hers might have been besides Vivia, it might have hers. I love Safi, which is sad. So I don't know if I should say she's my least favorite. Her storyline wasn't great, but I liked her. Like her character, her perspective is interesting. I didn't like what was going on in her story. Not that much seemed to happen in her storyline. There's a lot of running around. It was funny that she ran back into the chiseled cheater. Now, for some reason, I must have read it wrong in the first book, because I thought the chiseled cheater was a chiseled cheater because he cheated on her, but I realized he like cheated her out of money or something, which was kind of funny because I thought he was an ex-boyfriend, but it turned out he wasn't. Unless I'm wrong and he was. I'm still not quite sure what happened with them. Yeah, I thought it was funny that she ran back into him again. But yeah, I'm blanking on like everything that happens in this book. This is going to be a terrible review. But I love Safi so much, and she's so entertaining, and I love how she can trick people into doing things. And she's so much nicer than Vanessa. So like when those guys kidnapped them, she was able to actually get them to, give them food and be nice to them, whereas Vanessa was just awful. And if she was running the show, probably would have killed them because she was so annoying. And Safi actually got them to kind of be friends. Pretty crazy. Then we have Iseult, I think is how you'd say her name. Her and Aduin. I shipped them so much. So I was so happy when they had so much time. They were stuck together. And that was fun. And then of course they had to bring a little kid into it to ruin all possible chances of like a romance happening between them, because now they're looking after this little girl. not super happy with Owl being there and her giant bat thing, and that seems unlikely. And also I'm a little confused about what happened to Isolde there at the end. Like, she cleaved, apparently. All this stuff was happening and now she's a Weaver Witch. Do we know what a Weaver Witch is? Because I'm not quite sure what a Weaver Witch is. So that was crazy. I think I need to reread the ending dramatic scenes because they were all like really crazy and a lot was going on. Because like, what exactly happened to her? So now she's not a Threadwitch anymore and she can't read threads? That's sad. So yeah, I'm curious to see what happens with all that. Oh, also in Merrick's perspective, Cullen came back and that was crazy. And now he's like this crazy scary thing. And like Cullen's the Fury now. Merrick's not. And Merrick thinks he can save him, which he should try and save him if he can because he's his bestest friend. But that was crazy. Like when he showed up and it was cold, I was like, oh my god, he's alive! Yay! But then he's like kind of evil and creepy, and so maybe not yay. I don't know. That was crazy, and I want more about that. And the book was basically over by the time they introduced Cole, and I was like, but things are happening. I wonder what's gonna happen with Isolde and Adrian and Owl though, because I don't think she would introduce Owl if it was pointless, but I'm still really confused about like why all of a sudden they're taking care of this little girl who is friends with the giant bat thing. And then they actually cut off his ear, because if they're going to be friends with the bat thing, I feel like it's kind of hard to be friends with someone who's cut off their ear. I don't know why that's sticking out in my mind, but I feel like it's weird. I like she cuddled with it and it was all stinky, which was funny. One thing that I noticed was in Merrick's point of view, he was constantly referencing hagfishes. I think it's something to do with something when you're dead, that the hagfishes eat you or something, but there was a lot of reference to hagfishes. So if we never see a hagfish in this series, I'm going to be really disappointed because I want to know what that was all about. Because he's like, hagfishes take me, hagfish this, hagfish that. I feel like every time he had perspective, he mentioned a hagfish, and I was like, what's a hagfish? Oh my god. Oh, it was horrible, the scene when Safi had to fight that weird lady on the ship, and now she owes them a favor, which is never good. Like, I've been watching Once Upon a Time, and when Rumpelstiltskin is like, oh, now you owe me a favor. I'm like, no, you never want to owe someone a favor, even though Safi did say she's not going to die or kill anyone for her, which is a good condition to have, but still, she can do a lot of stuff aside from killing someone, and I'm pretty sure something horrible is going to happen because of that. Also, all these people, all these poor characters, my poor babies, they keep getting all beat up, which makes me sad. Everyone is disfigured, apparently, now in this book, and I'm just like, why? Why are you destroying all of your beautiful characters? So sad. Poor Safi, because she really got beaten up, and that was tough to read. Okay, I think that's about all I have to say for this book. So if you read Truthwitch, please let me know your thoughts on it in the comments below. I would love to hear. I would love to discuss this book with you. I hope I didn't make it sound like I hated this book. I really did enjoy this book. I just wasn't feeling good while I was reading it, and I read it kind of slowly, so a lot of the details trickled out a little bit, especially since I wasn't feeling good, so I wasn't taking notes while I was reading it, which is usually a really big mistake for me if I want to review a book. So hopefully you enjoyed this review. I hope it wasn't too rambly or too negative. I'm trying to remember everything about the book, and I'm not sure how well I succeeded. But I did enjoy it. I would recommend you read it, and because I want to see what happens next with these characters. I'm definitely going to read the next one. I'm kind of sad that I read an arc, so I read it before the book's even out, and so now I have to wait probably at least another year or more before I can even find out what happens next. Thank you so much for watching. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I upload new videos on Mondays and every other Friday, plus the occasional surprise video, so please subscribe if you want to see more of my videos. And again, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day. Bye!